hello everyone. Today we are hosting a podcast by Team Indigo, and today we have invited a renowned personality who, at a very young age, won numerous awards and wrote three books. Am I right? Yeah,
Yes,
he
yes,
wrote
absolutely.
three books, given six TED talks and three Josh talks. First of all, Yash, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, and like I said, very excited to be interacting today about some of the very interesting topics that our youngsters do need some guidance about. But all in all, even more excited after the launch of my latest novel, that is Blisters of the Battle, which is very topical in today's, I would say, geopolitical spectrum that we are living in right now. So, all in all, really happy about the same and really happy to be on board for this interview as well.
Even we are very excited for it.
Yeah.
And thank you for accepting the invitation at such a short notice.
No problem, most certainly.
So let us start. So, how did you start, or what changed your life?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I talk about that beginning point, or that that first step in the field of let's say youth mentorship or literature or global advocacy that I'm in right now, I would consider that to be perhaps my debut novel, which I authored back in 2018 when I was just 16 years old. I mean, basically, I was just finishing off with my 11th boards examination, and I was preparing for my 12th boards exams. And all of you can understand as Indian students that how big of a pressure the 12th boards are, like in any person's life, right? So even I was very much I would say pressurized about it. I was very much tensed about it as well. And then I was becoming the head boy of my school too. So I knew that for the entirety of the year, the pressure on my head was going to be sky high in a good way, but of course. So I thought that why don't I do something in the field of my passion as well? I had this 22 days holiday period before my 12th class was about to begin. And I said that, I'm going to use this time. I'm going to utilize this time to the best of my ability and do something creative. And so I just decided that I have always been very passionate about story writing and literature since as long as I can remember. So why don't I do something in this field? And with that quick decision, I quickly took the step to start writing a narrative as well. And one thing led to the another that went on to become my debut novel, which is A Celebration Tribulation, for which I've received a lot of many awards and acclaims and appreciation from around the world as well, that I'm genuinely very humbled and grateful for. And that book I authored, like I said, within the record time of just 22 days, based on the neurological ailment of the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which at the moment it was the first fiction novel that ever featured that particular disease as the central topic. So all in all, I think that was one point because of all the appreciation and acclaim that it received as well, where I firstly understood that yes, I genuinely am passionate about literature and writing and storytelling in general. And then secondly, I also understood how great of an impact I can create, positive impact I mean, with my voice and my words. So I think that was most certainly that first step in this field which I'm in right now.
Wow, amazing. In our 11th class, I remember we were scrolling through formulas and everything, and you wrote a book in just 22 days. That is
I,
amazing.
I was also I was also for scrolling through those formulas because I was a science student as well, just so you know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Just to confirm, you are right now 19 years old, right? 19 or 20 years old.
20. I recently turned 20.
We are all of same age, and you have accomplished so much. We are so proud of it, and we were
Thank you
so
so much.
much thrilled to have you on board. And yeah,
Thank you so
really
much.
amazing.
So glad to be on board.
So yes, how were you before 16? Like, if you have to compare today's years to that 16-year-old years, what would you say? Like,
Yes, all right. So, I mean, see, the thing is that I tend not to compare in any way. I know people do say that do not compare yourself with anybody else, try to compare yourself with your own self. And even with that ideology, I am a little bit, I would say, not skeptical per se, but I would say I'm more focused on just keeping my concentration towards where I want to go, which is the forward direction. So that is what I usually keep my focus on. But if I do have to, like you have asked, then I would say that yes, most certainly, I am more resolved, I am more passionate, I am more certain about the fact that yes, this is the field of creativity, of writing, of telling stories, of building up narratives with which I can genuinely create a positive impact around the world on millions upon millions of people, that I want to go ahead with as well, that I want to pursue ahead with as well. So that one point of clarity is something which most certainly I believe has developed much more now as I'm growing older and I'm getting to, of course, interact with millions upon millions of people when I get to address them in these talks and sessions and workshops around the world. But apart from that, I would say that the core value, it is still very much intact and it will always be. And what is that core value exactly? That core value within me is of the fact that whenever I do something, I feel happy about it, but my concentration is more on what I want to do tomorrow, what I want to do next. What is the next thing that I do when I sleep today and then I wake up? What is the next big height that I want to achieve? What is the next big pedestal that I want to reach onto? What is the next big thing that I want to do in order to create an even greater impact? So that core value will always be there. And then, secondly, another point which I think I briefly mentioned about earlier, I'm always trying to think of how to use my voice and my passion and my potential for the greater good of the world around me as well. Like, of course, I have a creativity that I'm passionate about. Now, I always try to envision and, let's say, plan out projects through which I can genuinely create an impact to the same as well. Like, for example, just for a quick instance, I have been working on these charitable literary initiatives, which are basically collaborative literary books that I author with my students. I ask my students whom I've taught about creative writing or story writing in past to write down stories about certain topics, like the one which I wrote on the topic of mental health, and then the second one which was about poverty, a global concern. The title of it was, and I collaboratively work around these students. I guide them, of course, how to write, but then I get their works published along with my own works as well as these charitable literary projects through which all the proceeds which are generated we donate it to charitable organizations. Now this is something which I do for two particular reasons. First of all, like I said, I do want to genuinely use my voice and my words and, of course, my creative passions for the greater good. And secondly, I really want the people to understand that when it comes to something like, let's say, literature or music or arts or any form of creativity for that matter, it is not just about you.
Yeah.
Yes, you feel joy while you are investing yourself in it, but you can even do something socially and globally that is of value, that holds a meaning, that has a purpose, if you just try to think about it. So that is what I've been trying to do through these literature charitable projects as well, and this is something which, of course, I will be continuing ahead as well.
Amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
So tell us something about this
Thank you so
charitable publication. For example, if someone in our college wants to, give his words a highlight, so he can reach out to you for these things.
Sure. Yes, most certainly, most certainly. Any single person can reach out to me on Yash Tiwari at Yash Tiwari Speaks on www.yashtiwari.org, and I'm sure that you guys will mention these links in your
Yes,
post as well. And you all can, of course, reach out to any person who is passionate to also use their creative passions towards something, purposeful, something worthwhile. And most certainly, whenever the next creative literary project I do come up with, I will make sure that you are a part of it as well.
thank you so much. Looking forward for it.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's so nice hearing your accomplishments. So you at an early age you started these. You're following your passion. You started following your passion. So
Yes.
there must be an inspiration or a mentor. Can you tell us something about your mentor or an inspiration,
Yes.
or you were
See this.
self-inspired?
See, this is one question which I've asked in all of the interviews and talk shows that I give, and I have to be honest with you. This is blunt honesty. I cannot pinpoint this one singular human being or this one particular person whom I call as my ultimate inspiration or somebody who, like, say, guided me about everything. Because the truth is that when I was writing my debut novel, I was actually searching on the internet how to go about it exactly. What the process is, how we actually do that. And even after that, I have been trying my level best to be that mentor or that inspiration for as many people, as many aspiring people around the world as I possibly can be to, and I will keep doing that, walking ahead as well. But personally, for my own self, I try to seek inspiration from every single person around me. It can be somebody very renowned, like a celebrity for that matter. It can even be somebody who is a common man, is just leading a common life, but their discipline, their ethics, their values, their moral, I would say, code of conduct on their own self, within their own self, is also something that I will try to seek inspiration from. So even when I'm interacting with you three right now, I will try to learn something from you as well, something positive that you have to give. So all in all, this is something which I live by, to seek inspiration from anything and everyone, wherever you go, whatever you are doing. And this is something which I preach to my fellow youngsters as well. To for sure, be have that mentor, have that inspiration, and try to learn as much as you can from them. But then beyond that, also be open to learning from anything and everyone wherever you go. Even if you are sitting in a cafe eating lunch with your friends or whatnot, try to learn wherever you go. So that would be my 2 cents on this particular point.
Yeah, so
So we
by
have
your words,
seen.
we think that you are saying that inspiration is everywhere. We just need to look at it
Of
in a
course,
different way. Yeah, right. Am I right?
exactly.
So I also know that it's in your family, right? Your grandparents and your parents also are into this
Yes.
writing and everything. And tell us
Yes,
something
yes,
about your
most
first book,
certainly.
The Celebration of
Yeah,
Liberty.
sure, sure. So, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my debut novel, A Celebration in Tribulation, is the first book which I had ever authored back in 2018 at the mere age of 16. That I had written within a record time of just 22 days. And talking about the story of the book, basically it is focused on this young girl, this 15-year-old girl named Ilma Zaidi, who on her 15th birthday only is diagnosed with this incurable ailment, which doesn't have a cure yet, which doesn't have a treatment yet. And from the very beginning of the novel, you kind of are aware. I mean, I'm not spoiling the plot over here, but you become aware of the fact that she is not going to have a long life. She's only left with a few months at best in her life. So, how her parents, who also belong to, I would say, a lower middle class family or even an impoverished family for that matter, and how she, even her own self, who is deteriorating every single day, they try to make every single day worthwhile. They try to live every single day to the fullest of their potential. Because that was one of the messages which I wanted to convey through my first novel, that first of all, death is not the ending of life. Your life goes on even after the death. You are leaving an imprint on so many people if you really do something impactful and powerful. And then secondly, try to live to your fullest. Try to live every single day. I know it is kind of cliched, it is a trope that you generally get to hear about as well, but that is the sheer truth. Believe it or not, but that is the truth. That you need to live and live every single day to the best of your potential, because that is the only way in which you will be able to, of course, have your own life with joy and be able to create joy for the people around you as well. So that was, I think, the message which I wanted to convey through my first novel, and I'm still very much glad and grateful and humbled by the fact that so many people around the world were able to resonate with the same. The book was something that struck a chord with so many people around the world who have read the story and they were able to relate with it as well. And yes, all the awards and acclaims and appreciation that came thereafter is also something that I'm genuinely very humbled and grateful for.
This is so inspiring for us, It's
Thank you.
really, I can see now why I was really excited for this podcast. Yeah,
That is
really.
so kind of you.
So, how you felt when you delivered your first TED talk? Like you were nervous, or you were like, "Okay, I can do this." Like, what were you
Yeah.
feeling?
All,
Your basic emotion.
yes, yes, absolutely. See, TED is something which all of us know. It is the greatest platform in the world, and of course, when I received that invitation, I was just 17 years old. I think it was somewhere around my birthday only, and I was jumping. I mean, talking about the invitation itself, the first invitation, I was absolutely jumping. And when the event took place itself, and I was there in the live event, and this is back when events used to be live, if you remember, with a live
Yeah,
audience
yeah,
and
yeah.
and what, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was in the venue, which was a big institute, and I was there on the stage. And the first thing which I noticed was that I was there, 17 years old, about to deliver my first TED talk, and all of my fellow speakers were in their 60s or 70s or 80s, or for the very least 50s. All of them renowned celebrities from around the world, like actors and politicians and ministers and movie makers and veterans of the Indian Army, for that matter. PK Sehgal sir, Major General PK Sehgal sir, who is a renowned veteran of the Indian Army, whom you must have seen very regularly on television. He was also one of the fellow speakers in that event, and they were the people who were sitting right beside me. So I think that was something which kind of exhilarated me even more, which filled me up with joy. Joy. I emphasize on that. Not nervousness in any manner, not anxiety in any manner. Sheer joy about the fact that yes, I am on that stage. And when it came to the moment to deliver that talk finally, and I saw that the big camera was focused on me, the big spotlight was focused on me, and even in the audience, hundreds upon thousands of people were sitting, and of course I knew that the camera broadcast was going to be for millions upon millions of people of TEDx. Once again, it was sheer joy. I was able to feel that invigoration and excitement and pumping of the blood in my veins, that yes, I am using my words and my voice to even inspire somebody, to save somebody's life, to give a direction to somebody out there who might be in the need for it. So I think all of that, remembering the value of every single word that I was to utter on that stage, and every single action that I was to do in front of the camera, was something that just kept on filling me with joy. And that is something which still keeps on filling me with joy whenever I'm delivering any talk or any session, or even right now when I'm interacting with you guys. So yes, it has always been very exciting to speak and to use this words and voice, and it will always be absolutely exciting to use these words and voice for the greater good.
Amazing. So, did you had goosebumps after your talk? Because I remember when I first, engaged my audience after my talk or my session, when I was getting down the stage, I literally had goosebumps, and the feeling, the adrenaline pump was really amazing.
Yeah, so see, that of course that does happen whenever you do anything remarkable, or whenever you do anything that you are genuinely passionate about. And believe it or not, but this was my first public speaking event. I started delivering talks and sessions and became a public speaker or an international motivational speaker after this talk. So this was the very first public event that I was, a part of, that I was speaking at. And yes, it was exhilarating in a very positive sense. I call it that way. And when I went down, I saw that all these people, like the 60s and the 17-year-old that I was talking about, they were just standing and applauding, and I also felt that yes, they appreciate what I have done, and that also filled me with even more joy. And then signing the autographs, taking the pictures and all that, it is always joy. It is always joy.
Amazing, amazing. Even if this would have been an offline, na, we would be taking our autographs and selfies with you.
Thank you so much. That is so kind of you.
So now, and after hearing about you and following you on social media platforms, and so I came to a lot about you, and I really can't stop myself from reading your books or seeing your sessions. It's really amazing. So
And I
I
very
really want
eagerly
to.
await your feedbacks on these books as well.
Sure,
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to read after my midterms are over. I'm just going to read
Sure.
them, and I'm very excited. Here, you just told me the plot of the first book, and I'm pumped and I'm thrilled to read it. Like I can't stop.
Sure.
yeah. Okay. So I'll go for the questions. So I would say, what is the art of conversation? As I have seen in your LinkedIn and everywhere, that you have been a jockey also, radio jockey. So that
I
is,
have.
I think, that is the most difficult job, because engaging an audience just with your voice and with that confidence and joyfulness to engage that is the most difficult thing that I see as a radio jockey. You should. So what is that experience, and how do you
Of course.
have a good conversation with other people?
Sure, sure. So I think communication skills is something which is not just important. If it is most certainly important for public speakers, but then even for somebody who is having a desk job, or who is a school going student, or even a homemaker for that matter, even they require the communication skills, because today we are living in a very connected, a very globalized world, where every single thing that you do is in some way or the other based on the communication that you do. And if you do not have those communication skills, if you're not able to build those up, even the smallest of college interview that you want to give or a job interview that you want to give, you will suffer through it. You will not be able to make through it. So building those communication skills up is essentially important. This is something which, I have been delivering master classes and workshops about for quite a long time as well. Now, if you ask me to brief out how to improve your communication skills, of course, it can take hours upon hours for me to explain, but a very simplified version of it, a summary of it, depends on this rule of 5C or this mantra of 5C which I have come up with, which is also something that I have delivered a Josh talk about very recently that has amassed more than 1 lakh views around the world. And talking about this rule of 5C or this mantra of 5C, it basically refers to the 5 C's of communication. Like in one hand, how many fingers do we have? One, two, three, four, five, right? I mean, counting thumb as well. These 5 fingers stand for the 5 C's of communication: content, clarity, creativity, connectivity, and confidence. And when you just, fold these fingers, what does it form? A fist. A very strong fist which can break down any barrier that you are facing, any obstruction that you are facing whenever you are trying to communicate, whenever you are trying to speak with one another. It will break down any wall of anxiety or nervousness that you might be feeling inside yourself. Now, talking in a more elaborate manner about these 5 C's, we have firstly the content, focusing and improving what exactly you are speaking. Speaking only the content that you personally resonate with. Like, for example, in today's session, I have been saying a lot of things about passion and creativity and whatnot, but I have been trying to cite my own examples all that while as well, right? I've been trying to build up a content that resonates with me as well. So, firstly, work on your content. Secondly, clarity. Whenever you are speaking, have that spashtita of ucharan, if you know what that means, right? That clarity of every single word that you are saying. Because see, you might have a lot of friends which speak in this make-up accent, which even they cannot understand, let alone you understand or any other person understand. Better than a made up pretentious accent, it is far better to speak in an understandable and in a clear pace that your audience can at least get what you are trying to say. So that is the second C. The third C is of creativity. Always try to present a creative touch, a unique approach while whenever you are speaking something, while you are trying to interact with something, because chances are that you might be saying the same 2 3 things that every single person out there is saying. But if you add your personal story in it, if you add your personal touch in it, that unique and fresh approach in it, speaking, do not look at the ceiling fan on the sky, or you look at a bird that is flying somewhere in the sky. Try to look at the person whom you are speaking with. Try to look into their eyes. This is not a romantic scene, by the way, from some certain movie. Okay, I'm being absolutely serious over here. But try to look in their eyes, feel like there is a connection that is established between you two. Have a strong body language, have a good posture, even when you are sitting. Try to sit erect. Try to have these hand gestures as well every now and then, not in a pretentious manner but in a very natural flow, in order to connect with your audience as well. And last but not the least, the 5th C of communication is of confidence. Now, confidence is something that cannot be beat by anything else. It is irreplaceable and you have to build it up for sure. And that confidence comes up when you are well prepared and when you have strong belief in what you are saying, when you know that whatever you are saying, you personally agree with it as well. So I think these 5 pointers, in a very brief manner, to talk about them, would be the points to start with if you want to improve your communication skills.
Amazing, amazing. I think this would help us all in ways that we cannot even imagine.
Glad to know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Astha.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, as in society, it's quite uncommon to do as much as you did at the young age of 20, and especially in India. So, how did you broke the stereotypes set by the society that you can't do much when you are young? Like, especially,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Sure. So, see, in my personal view, it so happens that there are people who are too much bothered about these stereotypical societal norms, and they are the ones who have to struggle through them the most. I mean, I'm not saying that every single person has, the, let's say, the opportunity served on a golden platter. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that when you are too much bothered about these problems and issues and who is obstructing you, who is stopping you, that is when you will be pulling yourself down as well. Because I personally, speaking about my own self and my own passions, I never ever even bothered about them. Yes, when I was starting out in the field of public speaking, something as, as illustrious as public speaking, and in the field of literature as well, back in 2018, at just the mere age of 16, I knew that there are people out there who might be judging me based on my age. They might be even judging my experience or my knowledge based on my age, but I never felt bothered about it. I never let it stop me. Even when I went to a certain event and I saw that, the audience is twice or thrice as old as I am, and they are rolling their eyes right now because they are quite skeptical about what a 17-year-old guy or what a 19-year-old guy can possibly teach them. I still went through it. I still kept going. I stood there on the stage with affirmation, with conviction, and I spoke ahead. And by the end of those talks, all those skeptical people were the one who stood up and applauded and took the autographs and took the pictures, and they were joyous about it. They genuinely did find a direction in their life through what was taught to them by that 19 or 20-year-old guy. So all in all, I want to urge my fellow youngsters as well that never worry about the stereotypical societal norms of the society at all. Right now, you might be thinking about ageism, which is basically age based prejudice. Once you are through with it, there might be some other prejudice. Once you are through with that one, there might be some other prejudice. So the cycle of prejudices is always going to be there. That doesn't matter. What matters is that I am passionate enough, I'm always driven enough, and I have my focus on my works and what I do and what I want to do and what I want to accomplish through my words, through my voice, through my passions, through my potentials, and through my creativity. So that is what I will always keep in my mind as well, not worrying about any unnecessary point for that matter, because I know that I will never be affected by that in any way as well.
Amazing, amazing. So you are truly an inspiration for the students, those who wants to follow their passion and break the stereotype of the society. So
Thank you so
literally
much.
hats off.
Thank you.
So you earlier, talked about communication, and in today's world, you know that the biggest way of communication is social media. So, what's your view on social media, and how it's affecting our ideology and that?
I mean, see, I have a very positive take on it for one simple reason, which I want to elaborate through a certain example for all of you. Think of the last 2 years, I mean 2020 and 2021 in particular, and all those times when you were stuck within the four walls of your houses, and there were medicines, there were medical support, there was assistance that you required. You couldn't even reach out to a certain person physically, and all that you could do was simply share a tweet about what you are requiring with a certain oxygen cylinder or a certain medicine or whatever it might be. And there were people all the way in Gurgaon or all the way in Kerala or all the way even in US who were willing to help, who were willing to reach out and provide assistance and guide you and help you in that manner. When there is a platform that connects you for good, that helps you for good, and that has even saved uncountable lives for good, of course you are supposed to have a positive opinion about it. And see, of course, there are two sides of the coin in every way that you can possibly think of. Like, for example, having a healthy Indian meal is a good thing. It will build up your health. But even within that healthy meal, if you are eating 17 or 18 rotis at the same time in a single meal, that will affect you negatively as well. Okay, that is not going to be healthy. But if that is done in a proper manner, in a, I would say, in a considerate and in a mindful manner, that will help you, that will build your health, that will build your muscle mass as well, and that will be better for you. So all in all, in my personal view, it is all about firstly looking on the optimistic and positive and brighter side of it all, and secondly understanding how to use something, or should I say utilize something, in the positive and that optimistic and that bright direction as well. I know it might sound like a diplomatic answer, but in my personal view, that is the reality of it all.
Yes, same here, as I think that in this pandemic area, the social media has given us a unlimited range that we cannot even imagine.
I mean, see, right now, even we are interacting with one another. You are saying that my words are inspiring your college students.
Yeah.
How? Through this,
Social
this Google
media.
Meet, interaction that we are having, right?
Yeah.
It is a technology-based platform only. So, all in all, try to look on the optimistic side, and just focus on what better you can do with these platforms that you have. That should your focus always be on.
So talking about the pandemic, how was your lockdown?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, my lockdown was kind of entirely spent in interviews and talks and sessions and master classes throughout the day. And before that, I was writing the book based on the pandemic. So at that time, my focus was on that particular point. And yes, it was a mindful period, like many people around the world said, because that was the first time when a lot of people around the world had those 2 seconds to just sit down with their own selves and think about what they want to do in their life.
Yeah.
I was more focused on what I want to do presently in regards to the book writing and all the other creative passions as well. So that is when I decided to write my second book, Pandemic 2020: Life of the Virus. So yeah, most of the time was spent focusing on that only in particular.
Tell us something about the book Pandemic 2020.
Yes, sure,
Uh,
sure, absolutely.
how did you research
So,
and everything? How did it
yeah,
felt?
most certainly, most certainly. So I authored Pandemic 2020: Life of the Virus, which is, yes, as I said, my second novel. At the age of 18, back in 2020, I think it was around the month of April only. COVID was still very much fresh for all of us in India. I think it was that 22 days Janta lockdown period, if you remember that.
Yes,
That was
yes.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
the very beginning of the
It was
lockdowns that we had. Yeah.
this time
So
only
at
was.
that time, yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah. So it was that point when whenever I was opening, let's say, any social media platform or any news media platform or newspaper, even for that matter, it was just about the uncountable number of cases that were being reported, uncountable number of medical workers who were putting their life on the forefront, sacrificing it, basically, and also the uncountable number of deaths that were being reported from around the world. So all of it, most certainly, I would say, it struck a chord with me. Struck a chord in the sense that I wanted to do something about it. I wanted to, contribute something towards it as well in a meaningful manner. And I realized that as an author, as a writer, the best thing that can be done from my end is to give these uncountable number of people, these warriors and the sufferers of the COVID-19 outbreak, as I like to call them, a place in our global history, writing their names in our global history. And the best way to do that is through literature, because even right now we go on and read those novels written centuries and centuries ago, and we still feel invigorated by what stories have been told, right? So, just like that, I also wanted to create a similar narrative, and I decided that I am going to write a book which will not just be about India, but it will be about the entire world and every single person from every single walk of life suffering through the difficulties of the coronavirus outbreak, this one big villain, as we considered it back then. And I started writing it. And talking about the story of the book in specific, we have this helpless journalist in India, an ambitious doctor all the way in US, a stranded traveler in Italy, and a poor, impoverished boy all the way in China. And how these four individuals on different walks of life in different countries in different conditions are suffering through the perils of the COVID-19 outbreak, the coronavirus outbreak, suffering through a lot, I would say, navigating through a lot, fighting through a lot, is what that particular book, my second novel, was all about. And for that, I have set a couple of international records as well at the India Book of Records and the Asia Book of Records for being the youngest author to write a book on the COVID-19 outbreak. And I'm very happy to know that so many people around the world felt that yes, they could relate with the narrative. Their stories have also been told in that narrative. And talking about the research of it all in particular, that was kind of like a fun experience, because my research was updating every single day. The book is very much in sync with the statistics and the numbers that were being reported around that time. So I had to update my book every single day. I mean, I was writing the 13th or the 14th chapter, and then again I had to add something in the first chapter or improve something in the first chapter, because the new reports have come out. So all in all, that was also something which was kind of like a roller coaster ride, but all in all, a great learning experience as well.
Amazing, literally amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen the book. It's like around 300 pages, and I have ordered it.
Yes.
I can imagine what type of
Okay.
content and what type of hard work you have put in that book, explaining all the
Thank you.
scenarios and everything. Really amazing.
Thank you so much.
So, as you are a very motivating presence, and as we all are the youth, and we all have this dream to do something worthwhile, but not every one of us is quite doing it. So, what do you think this youth is lacking? Matlab, I mean, like we have the knowledge, we want to grow, but we are somehow not implementing it. So, what do you think is literally stopping us from doing what we want to do?
I think one of the reasons for that might be the focus of the youngsters, basically where it is directed exactly. Most of the youngsters are more focused on the world around them. I'm not asking you to not be aware of what is happening around you or the people around you or the world around you, but not at the cost of who you are within your own self. You need to be more focused on the world within your own self, first of all, and then the world around you. And what do I mean by that exactly? Your own strengths, your own capacities, your own capabilities, your own weaknesses as well, your own fears as well, and what exactly is it that you want to do or that you can do or that you aspire to do. Now yes, I know that youngsters say that they are aware, they know exactly what direction they want to take in their life, but the same youngsters, if asked to speak even 5 minutes about their strengths and weaknesses, would stumble, would fumble, would not be able to speak properly about it. Most of the youngsters around the world. So I think that self awareness about your own self, that introspective understanding of who you are, doing that on regular basis, even if that is something as simple as creating a journal, and before you go to bed every single day, you just write down 4 to 5 things, good things that you did in the day, and 4 to 5 pointers that you need to work upon for the next day. Even if it is something as simple as that, it can go a long way in improving you. So I think in the longer run, building up that self-awareness beyond the global awareness or the social awareness or the cultural awareness or the political awareness is also as important as the other ones. So I think that would be my 2 cents on what the youngsters still can do.
Amazing. So
That was an amazing advice.
Thank you.
I would like to add upon this or ask you on thing. As a students, college student, basically, we have thousands of things to explore. Like every day, we are looking for something new. So, how do you guide us, or you can give us some tips about how to clear the path, or you can serialize the things that we can do.
Yeah, it should never be about clearing the path. In my personal view, I'm being honest about it because see, I started my professional journey when I was preparing for my 12th boards examination. Even right now, when I'm in my professional journey, and I will keep going on in that direction. I still am pursuing my academics as well, and all in all, I always focus on doing the best of all the worlds that I'm a part of. And this is something which I want the youngsters to explore and be passionate about as well. Do not feel that if you want to ace in your college examinations, you have to give up on your creative ambitions. Or do not feel that if you want to do something creative, you have to give up on your studies. That is not how it works. Even the greatest of authors out there like Chetan Bhagat or Durjoy Datta, they were engineering professionals. They completed their degrees, and that is when side by side, they were pursuing their creative passions as well. So always focus on one thing, that you should be, keeping a clear view of the bigger picture as well as the smaller picture in order to manage the time. Like, I think that is what your question was, how to manage the schedule or the time properly. That happens when you have a clear, vivid picture about the big picture and the small picture. Now, what does this mean exactly? Supposedly, you want to become a singer or a guitarist or an instrumentalist in the longer run. That is a great ambition. You have to invest at least 30 minutes every single day to hone your skills, to improve yourself in order to become that great renowned instrumentalist in the longer run, right? In the bigger picture of your life. But if you know that there is this examination tomorrow in your college that you will not be able to appear for again, that you have not prepared anything for at all, it is in the smaller picture of things, it is in the smaller sense of the picture, and it is happening just tomorrow. Would it be wise to invest the entire day, let's say, playing music or singing or practicing your singing skill for this bigger picture goal that you have in your life, or this examination that you have just tomorrow? This is where the clarity of the mind and the I would say the consciousness of the mind comes into play. have goals which you have to work on consistently on regular basis, but also keep in your mind what are the small picture things that you need to do right now, that you have an obligation to do at the present moment, that is based on which you are supposed to prepare your schedule or your timetable or whatever it might be, and not just a certain thought that might be there in your mind.
Yeah, amazing. Even I have interest in music. You can see. I think if you can see or not, there's a
Yeah, I,
synthesizer
I,
coming.
I, I actually saw that. That is
Yeah.
why I, I quoted the example of
Even
the
I
same.
invest my time of 15 to 20 minutes daily. Really amazing.
Yes.
Arin,
Yeah. Can you tell us something about your latest book, which is Blisters of Battle? So that'd be really great.
Sure, sure, absolutely. So, in fact, I have a copy of the book with me right now as well. So, this is my latest novel, as you see. Are you able to see it right now?
yeah, yeah,
Yes, I
Yeah.
hope it is visible at
Yeah.
the moment.
It's
So,
visible.
this book is titled Blisters of the Battle, as you see. And as the title suggests, it is very much topical in sense to what is happening around the world right now. The book is a clear reflection of the commoners, the common people, not the warmongers, not the soldiers in general, but the common people who suffer the most, who are implicated the most in these situations of wars and battles and violence around the world, like we are seeing happening at the present moment in various parts of the globe as well. So it becomes very relevant and topical as well. And in this book, basically, the storyline is focused on four characters in particular belonging to a certain family called the Patlis. Now, in the Patli family, we have a 15-year-old girl named Mithina, her elder sister named Jayashri, I would say, her helpless mother, and her selfless father. Now, how these characters, who are common people, who have no resources, who have no weapons, how they struggle in different, I would say, journeys that they're abandoned on, that they're pulled apart on, in one single night of the battle, of invading forces which are coming in their country and are breaking everything down, are tearing the houses down, are crumbling the buildings down, and are bombing the city to rubble. How these four characters are on absolutely different paths of life, and they try to survive through it, they try to navigate through it and save one another from it as well, is what the book is basically focused on. And once again, this book is something which I have mentioned earlier as well, that I have written as a tribute to all those common people, those sinless commoners who lose their lives, who suffer the most, and who are implicated the most in these situations of these wars and battles that they do not even call for, that they do not even want, or that they do not have any part in whatsoever. So that is what this book is all about, and I'm very glad to share with all of you that Blisters of the Battle, my latest novella, has ranked number one on the Amazon best-selling chart in multiple categories over the past few days, just after the release of the book itself. And yes, very happy to be sharing about the same as well.
a big congratulations. I saw it
Yeah.
on your status
Congratulations.
today, and I was really happy that you are coming as a part, and we will be sharing the launch of the book. We were really
Yes,
happy.
absolutely. And all of the readers who are listening to us right now and would like to delve in the world of the Blisters of the Battle, which I'm sure you will most certainly feel excited by because it is a mystery thriller narrative. Usually, when you are reading war novels or battle novels, they are very much autobiographical or they are very much focused only on what is happening, right? But I have tried to build this narrative as a mystery thriller in order to make it even more exciting for all the readers out there. So all of you can read it on Amazon right now, on Kindle, on Amazon itself in paperback version because it is available around the world for all of you to read. So yes, looking forward to the reviews from all the readers as well.
Yeah, that'd be good. So, while you were writing the book, was there anything? Have you met any people from defense or army that gave you the stories
Yes,
or
yes,
info?
I have. Because as a matter of fact, the opening remarks of the book, the opening views of the book are in fact authored by Major General P.K. Sehgal sir and also Major Pradeep Khare sir, who have been veterans of the Indian Army, and they have, in a very elaborate manner, bestowed their views about wars and battles, and also on this book in particular, how they were able to relate very well with it, how they were able to connect very well with it, and their words of appreciation and blessings as well that have been featured in the book as well. So this is something which you all as readers would also get to read when you read the book. Their valued remarks as veterans of the army.
So, how does it feel when you meet such a respected peoples of army and India? How does it feel?
It always feels as a moment of honor for sure, because the kind of lives that they have lived, the kind of experiences that they have gone through, they cannot be summarized in words. Even when somebody is writing a 50,000 words long manuscript, even then it wouldn't be enough. The kind of lives that they have lived and all that they have, put in to contribute towards the betterment of their fellow citizens. So I always consider that as an honor and more as a blessing, because these two personalities whom we get to watch on television almost every single day on various panels across news channels, they have been a strong sense of support for me for a very long time right now. I mean, PK Sehgal sir, like I mentioned, he was my fellow speaker in the first TED talk that I delivered, and Major General Pradeep Khare sir, he has also been very much appreciative and very much supportive and encouraging for a very long time right now. And yes, their support and their blessings and their appreciation and their, I would say agreement on the narrative that I've written in some ways. That yes, they do agree with what has been written and they resonate with it very well with it as well, is something that also fills me with joy and makes me even more excited to keep on writing about social topics of importance and keep on writing about subject matters that illuminate the audiences around the world for the good.
Even I have this similar experience. My friend's brother is in army, and whenever he comes, he shares these stories and trainings and everything about the army. And every time we listen to it, we are just shocked and really honored to listen to them, and we really respect them. That the things that they're doing for the country, it's really amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, talking about how is your academic life right now, like
Yeah.
how it is.
Okay, so I am a mass communication student at Jagran College in Uttar Pradesh itself, and this is something which is very much in sync with my professional works and my field of passion as well of public speaking and writing. So yes, that is something which I also get to learn from additionally, and this is one field which I want to pursue ahead as well, walking further. So yeah, that is how it would be.
So, what do you do to chill? Like, what's your me time thing that you do? Like, if you take my example, I listen to music or I play my instruments. That is my me time. Or I chat with different people.
Yes.
What's your?
So I don't know. I mean, how you would consider this answer, but truth for me is that when I'm working, whenever I'm caught up for the entirety of the days, that is when I'm chilling the most. That is when I feel the most relaxed. Because whenever I decide that today I am just going to relax for the entirety of the day, I'm going to open my Netflix account. I'm just going to watch shows for the entire day. That is when I feel the most stressed. I genuinely do not, enjoy the concept of just having days upon days of not doing anything at all. I do not enjoy that at all. I feel the most relaxed or feel like my own self whenever I'm up and active and working. So the days which are filled with interviews and sessions and writings and projects and works that I'm passionate about, those are the days when I feel the most joy. Those are the days when I feel the most relaxed, and when I even psychologically feel the chill that you are talking about.
Yeah. So it was a really, really inspiring session for us all. So at last, any words of or suggestion for the listeners, the viewers that are seeing the podcast? Anything?
Sure. So yeah, the one thing which I always say at the end of these interviews and talk shows is one simple, I think, sentence for that matter, which I have somewhere written in one of my books as well. No matter how dark the tunnel might be, there is always a bright end to it. Just keep looking forward. Right now, it might appear only like a small speck of light somewhere very far away, but as you just keep your head held up high and just keep walking further, just ahead, even if you have to crawl at certain moments, I can assure you that that small speck of light will become an entire big door that you will feel the brightness of, that you will feel the glow and the warmth of. So just keep walking further, keep walking forward, and yes, do share your valued feedback on my latest novella, that is Blisters of the Battle, which you can subscribe on Amazon. And do reach out to me on Yash Tiwari at Yash Tiwari Speaks on www.yashtiwari.org if you have any kind of doubts or questions or anything that you would like to talk about. Always happy to connect.
Thank you so much, yes, for joining us for this session. And yes, all the links to the IDs and the website will be linked in the description box. And at last, thank you so much for joining with us.
Glad to have been on board, and thank you so much for this brilliant interview. All the very best to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.